2, 1, go.
And welcome into PressBox Live. I'm Stan the Fan Charles of PressBox and PressBoxOnline.com. And with me is the old 0.2 percenter, the left-hander, Ross Grimsley. Ross, how you doing? Ross, you muted yourself by accident.
Oh, there I go.
How you doing, Ross?
I'm great. Beautiful Florida. We're doing well down here, buddy.
All right. And the guy smiling on your screen is Rick Dempsey, and we're going to talk to Rick in just a minute. He's got a lot of stuff going on. We look forward to talking to him over the next 25 minutes or so. But first, got to ask you a question. What company has the expertise and technology to make your home substantially more energy efficient, comfortable, and even virus-free? Well, that's AJ Michaels Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis at ajmichaels.com. And now's the time of the year to bet on the World Series with our friend, the most trusted name in Vegas, Superbook Sports. You can also bet your pro football, your college football with them. Superbook, as I said, is the most trusted name in Vegas, and now you can use their promo code StanCharles20. I'm pointing to me, StanCharles23 to score up to $250 with their first bet bonus. Win or lose, they will match your first bet up to $250 with promo code StanCharles23, all one word with no spaces. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? They want you to know the number, 1-800-GAMBLER. And joining us right now is Rick Dempsey. And Rick, it's been a while since we've talked, so I got a lot of ground to cover. First things first, I know you made it into Baltimore for Brooks's memorial.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on the late, great Mr. Baltimore, Mr. Oriole, Brooks Robinson?
Well, everybody who has been part of the Oriole family since they came to Baltimore, I think it was, 1954?
Yep.
I mean, Brooks Robinson has been the biggest name in Baltimore ever since. I mean, there's been some really, really great players, Frank Robinson, Boog Powell, Eddie Murray, Cal Ripken. You know, there's been some big names there, but I mean, it's just going to be hard to uproot a guy like Brooks Robinson, because not only was he a great player that measured up to all the others I just mentioned, but he was a great player for the fans. And that's really what made Oriole baseball and the city of Baltimore a great city, is Brooks Robinson. And the way he treated the fans was so special, you know, that I don't think anybody's ever going to forget him, ever.
It's really great, Rick. But let me ask you a question. Did you get many examples at finding out how beloved he was outside of Baltimore, in New York or Los Angeles or Chicago?
You know, that was his personality. It wasn't just the numbers and the great plays that he made. It was everything. It's the way he treated people at the ballpark and how special he made everybody feel, from the little kids and everything to the grown adults. And they'll never forget what a great player he was, but how easy he was to simply talk to.
Ross, go ahead.
Yeah, no, Denver, you didn't get a chance. I think 77 was Brooksy's last year. I think you got to play with him a little bit. And
Yeah.
it's one thing to talk about him as a fan, but as a player playing on the same team with him and getting to see this guy perform and interact with everybody is amazing. I just was looking up some of his numbers. And, he led the league in assists for, I think, 10 years or so. 600 at bats 7 times, 500 or more 15 times. He did so much sacrifice flies. He led the league 4 times. So he did a little bit of everything, but getting to play with him and seeing him play, talk a little bit about that.
He was so comfortable to be around. Usually you get a mega star like Brooksy was. He didn't want to be put up on the platform, on the pedestal above everybody else. He wanted to make you feel like you were an equal with him. Just go out and do your job. And that's all you had to do, because You listen to him talk. He never seemed like he was angry about anything about baseball. If he had a bad day and everything, he just put it behind him. The next day he goes out and he gets 3 base hits and a game winner, and he makes 3 spectacular double plays. And you know what he was like. He amazed you with his agility. He amazed you with his hands. He amazed you with the bat and what he was capable of doing. Nobody ever questioned Brooks Robinson as far as his desire to play and his love of the Baltimore Orioles and his love of winning. And he just made everybody feel like they were part of an elite group. If Brooks Robinson liked you, well, Brooks loved everybody. So everybody felt like they were part of that. And not very many people know this, and I don't even know if I should say anything, but I actually was the guy who replaced Brooks Robinson on the 40-man roster that forced him to retire. The Orioles, they knew he was at the end of his career, and I had broken my hand. Don Gullett broke my hand throwing at me like you rotten pitchers do, Ross Grimsley.
I would never throw at you.
Yeah, but Gullett could break a bone. Ross couldn't break a window pane.
I could at one time. Now, come on.
That's right. Yeah, all he did was eliminate the KY jelly, and he could throw the ball as straight as anybody. But I did, and I felt bad because I went up there and struck out 3 times in my first game, and Brooksy had been invited to speak, to be part of the broadcast that day. And he looked over at, I think it was Tom Davis, and he said, "Boy, they replaced me with that." we all had to laugh because Brooksy did not have a mean bone in his body. He was just a pleasure to play with. And I'll tell you what, there was only one other guy in all of baseball who I would even put in the same category with Brooks, and that was Harmon Killebrew. Just one of the nicest superstars you ever want to meet. He is what Major League Baseball was all about. And Brooks was even better than that. It's hard to believe it, but he was even better than that.
Ross,
let me tell one story.
Go ahead.
My first year with the Orioles, 1974, it was me, Cuellar, McNally, and Palmer. Now, Brooksy, what he didn't catch, he would play off his body.
Yeah.
And he would knock it down, throw a guy out. So that happened. It happened a lot. A couple of months go by in the season, and I happened to look at him one day, and he had these whelps all over him. So I got to say, the 3 left-handers, me, Cuellar, and McNally, probably took a couple of years off his career by those line shots down there to him. And he just laughed about it.
Hey, Demper, I wanted to ask you, and I wanted to get Ross's opinion. We lost another great ball player yesterday. Frank Howard passed away. The Washington Monument was what I used to call him. 6'8", like about 300 pounds. Gifted athlete. You were behind him, when you were catching. But did you ever see fear in other players like it was when they faced off against Frank Howard?
Well, Frank Howard, I got to watch him play when he was at the, I don't know if they would call it the Polo Grounds here in Pasadena, California, where the Dodgers used to play.
The LA Coliseum.
The Coliseum, yes,
Coliseum.
Thank you. And, that's where he made one of his marks. He went down into the right field corner. He got a ball and he picked it up and he threw on a line drive all the way to home plate and threw the runner out trying to score from first base. It was just one of the most amazing throws of baseball ever. And that's when I started to watch Frank Howard. I probably met him before a lot of anybody did, because when I was like 13 years old, 12 years old, actually, he came to our little league and signed an autograph for me. I'll never forget that, how impressive he was, because looking at him was like looking at the Empire State Building. When you're standing underneath him, he was like 100 feet tall, but he was so nice to everybody and so easy to talk to. You weren't afraid or intimidated by Frank. And then the next time I saw Frank, he was coaching with the Milwaukee Brewers, which I played with in 1991.
Right.
And everybody loved Frank there in Milwaukee like everybody loved Brooks Robinson in Baltimore. And he was just a big, intimidating guy, always had a smile on his face, and he just made you feel great.
Now, Ross, did you pitched against him?
I
I have to imagine that was a pretty scary proposition.
Well, it was my first year of spring training in the big leagues with the Reds, and we played. Lakeland wasn't that far from where Detroit had their spring training, and he was playing with Detroit at the time. And I pitched the last game of the season, of the exhibition season. We were in Louisville, and he come up to bat, and I have never seen a human being or anything that big with a club in their hand standing. I mean, it was unbelievable. My whole thing. Two people that frightened me the most in the batter's box was Richie Allen and him. My whole thing was throw something slow the first couple of pitches. If they hit it, they're going to pull it. In the next, we're all going to be fastballs away as far as I can get them away. Just don't hit it at me. But he was very intimidating. But I had the pleasure to get to know him better when he was coaching with the Seattle Mariners. Yeah. Big guy. And he couldn't be a gentle giant, nice guy. But this guy had more energy. He would outwork the players. And he would, let's go, boys, let's go. And I happened to be one of the coaches that were with him that day. Let's go. And he's running to the thing. And now I got to run behind him, to get there, which I don't want to do. I did enough of that crap. But anyway, he was, what a gentleman, what a nice guy. Very intimidating when you're 60 feet, 6 inches away from him. Scary.
The story that Boog Powell always tells me, whenever Frank, and we talked last night, Steve Jeppy was here watching the World Series with me, and we called Boog, and I said, Boog, that story you told me, and he told it again. He said, Boog said, I could drink with just about anybody. He said, but Frank Howard was on a whole different league. And he told the story about they were at the World Series one year, and they met up at a bar, and he says, Booger, come on over. You want a drink? And Boog says, yeah. And he says, what are you drinking? And Boog says, I drink Canadian Club right now. And he goes, waitress, he goes, come here, honey. He goes, I want you to bring my friend a bottle of Canadian Club, and I want you to bring me a bottle of Jim Beam. And he said toward the end, he said he had to get his wife Jan to pick him up because he was out. And he said Frank was still going strong. He said, drank me under the table.
He's quite an individual.
Hey, Rick, we wanted to talk to you about what's going on with you. Before we start talking about the new exciting facility that you got going with Baseball Warehouse, tell us about your new knee.
Well, today's the 14th day since the surgery on my right knee, and I'm up walking around after day 2. I had a fabulous doctor did the operation. I didn't know what to expect. A young guy who used to be coached in grammar school by my son for basketball.
Oh my God!
So he introduced himself and how he knew my son. And I got to know him a couple of visits there before, kind of setting up the knee surgery. And it was just a great kid. But I didn't realize how much experience he had already had, like 400, knee operations already.
And this is knee replacement, right?
Knee replacement, yeah. So yeah, he replaced the whole thing and just did a fabulous job. And the next morning, I could have walked right out of the hospital. It was no problem at all.
Now let me just ask you. I know if your wife is listening, when can you play golf? I know you haven't golfed yet, but
when did you play golf?
I'm ready to play. I'm ready to play right now.
All right, that sounds good.
Of course, I didn't play yesterday, but
no, because it was only.
I'll be playing at with some of the guys up at the club tomorrow. So that's good.
Ross, go ahead. You got a couple questions.
Oh no, well, let's talk a little bit about your facility. That's the thing I want to know about, and I read about it a little bit, and I saw Gossage spoke at one of I think it might have been your and did I listened to a little bit. He's fun to listen to. I love to listen to him. But tell us a little bit about that, Demper. What exactly is going on? What you're
and where it is, and all that stuff.
All the information. Just fill us in as much as you can with what's going on with that.
Right. Yeah, well, it's been open since I was there a couple of weeks ago. We opened it up the day that they had the first playoff game. The Orioles had lost that game, yeah, but it opened up on that Sunday, and we're rocking and rolling right now. We're getting a lot of people are signing their teams up for future days. They want to put those on hold for us and everything. So the business itself has been making money already, and actually we haven't had a group in there yet, but we've got a lot of clinics coming up already. There's a kind of a downtime here until you get to fall ball, what they call fall ball, and then we've got the clinics and the camps and everything ready to go, and the book is filled already.
Tell us where it is, Rick.
It's out in Columbia.
Okay.
I can't pronounce the name of the street that it's on right now, but it's on the backside of the airport.
Okay.
At BWI.
So if people Google it should they Google it under Rick Dempsey's Baseball Warehouse?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
They'll find out the exact address and the name of that street. And, if you put it on your GPS, it'll bring you right to the backside of the building. Just remember to drive around front, and you're right there at the front door. So,
how many different baseball warehouses are in existence?
There are 3 right now. There's one in Red Lion, run by Matt Morris. There's one in Owings Mills, ran by Matt Morris, and now there's Rick Dempsey Baseball Warehouse out in Columbia. Now Matt's got a hand in it. He's the guy that is showing us the ropes and how to put it together. He's the one that invited me to put my name on his brand. And that's quite all right, because the guy's a hell of an instructor, and he really does a good job keeping up with all the kids, and when they're available, for instruction and play and stuff, and making teams. Every one of those places has its own team. So we are really expanding very quickly, and we're getting a lot of guys. You were talking about Goose Gossage. We're getting a lot of major league guys that are Hall of Famers that are coming in and talking to the kids, talking to the parents. And we're even setting up softball now. We have a big girls softball tournament coming up, and we got a bunch going on with the softball at the same time. So you name it, we have it. And instructors like Ryan Ripken, he may not have been the baseball player that his father was, but he's a hell of an instructor, and he communicates with people very well. So that's always nice to have a quality guy like that around. And all the locals that Al Bumbry, he's going to be running some of his
Mike Bordick. Mike Bordick, I think, is involved.
Bordick, yeah, Mike Bordick. You can't do anything without him, because this guy's an incredible infield instructor. He's really good with people. The kids love him and everything. So I couldn't ask for anything any better. You can't get better people instructing the young players. You can't get better people running the facility. Everybody is on top of every little thing that goes on. So I'm a pretty lucky guy right now.
Yeah.
Demper, when you come in, are you going to do any special catching clinics?
Oh, absolutely. I've been doing those. I've done 3 of them so far since I agreed to work with Matt.
Because I know Pedro Severino is looking to learn how to catch. Okay.
That's a low one right there, and the guy wasn't wearing his cup either.
Hey, the Baseball Warehouse of Rick Dempsey is at 9515 Gerwig Lane.
Gerwig, that's the name. Yes, Gerwig.
Columbia,
yes,
Maryland,
Columbia.
21046. Again, the Baseball Warehouse LLC, 9515 Gerwig Lane, Columbia, Maryland. I interrupted you with a little joke. What kind of things what kind of clinics will you do specifically with catching prospects?
Well, usually, I don't think I've had less than 25 people in all three of my clinics so far. Little guys all the way up to, teenagers and everything so far. And I line them all up and give them enough space to do their thing. I show them how to set up behind home plate first, where to put your feet, how to stay on the balls of your feet. We work on the setup and giving a good target, because even today, those targets, as far as I'm concerned, that we've already seen, they like to give that target way up in the strike zone. Where was that when I had 2 strikes on me? All I ever saw was nasty curveballs. They give you a nice, good fastball to hit now at the major league level. I don't know, Ross. You could have never thrown that fastball up there. It's been moving too much with KY jelly going left and right. What the heck?
That's a secret. Come on now. That's a
There's
secret.
no way. There's no way you're giving anybody a good straight fastball, letter high up in here. No way.
Where did Ross where did he keep his Vaseline?
Everywhere. Everywhere. That guy, he might have put his hat here. He was scratching his ass. He got KY jelly from his ass. Come on.
Hey, Dipper, I gotta ask you, with the catching, I mean, just what is your thoughts on the one knee catching?
Oh God. All you got to do, I've watched every playoff game. I've watched every World Series game. I have not seen one person get thrown out yet.
No.
How much, let me ask you a question, Ross. How much pressure does that put on the pitcher when you constantly have people on second and third base?
Unbelievable. I mean, they just know. I mean, throwing holding runners is one thing, but being able to get a good throw off and to block a ball. What is this? What is that?
See you guys later. That's what that is. From the beach, you're waving. Hey, you guys.
It's waving to the base runner. Go ahead, get a base.
Oh, God, go ahead.
You know what? And I haven't talked to you in a while, but I can feel how you feel. I know exactly.
You know what? We've got so many really good, talented young catchers. But for somebody to teach them that the only way you're going to frame pitches well is to go to one knee, come on. You've got to have better flexibility than that. I could always give the target on the ground from a sit position, from the balls of my feet. And I'll tell you, I go back to Steve Stone, and he pitched his first game against us, men on second and third, 2 outs in the 9th inning. He's got a 3-2 lead in the game, 1 out, and 2 strikes and no balls on a right-hand hitter. And I call for the curveball in the dirt. He gets mad at me. He goes, "What the heck are you calling? Get out here." They come in. He says, "I'm not going to throw a curveball in the dirt, have it go to the backstop, and have the tying run score and the winning run on third base." I looked at Steve and I said, "Listen, Steve, you don't throw that good.
Yeah.
You don't throw the ball good enough
to feel good about himself.
to get it by me. I'm sorry. If you're going to get it by me, you got to throw it way over my head." Yeah. And so he gets mad at me and he goes, "Okay, well, this is your responsibility." I go back behind home plate. I call for the curveball in the dirt. He throws it in the dirt. The hitter swings at it. I block it, and I throw the ball back at him at 100 miles an hour. And he goes, he catches it and falls back. "Oh, what?" I said, "Now you better get this last out because you're on your own now." And he pops the guy up to left field. And Stone ends up winning 25 ball games, Ross. 25 ball games, 25-7. And all it did, it taught him how to pitch out of the strike zone when you're ahead in the count. Yeah, now, Stan, now that they got me so mad, what do you want?
As great as
Stan,
as great as Palmer was, and he was the greatest pitcher in Oriole history, and number 2 was Mussina, and we can go on the rest of them.
Yeah.
But Stone's 1980 season was the greatest season I've ever witnessed up close.
Yeah, 25 wins and 7 losses. How can you go wrong? There's not a handful of people that won 25 or more games.
Now, remember, I was parking cars in Atlantic City, New Jersey in 1972, and I must have seen 5 or 6 games of Carlton that year.
Yeah.
Went 27-5 with a 55-win team. He won half their games.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. But Stone seeing him every game, I just knew we were going to win.
Yeah, he had an amazing curveball. I mean, Ross had a good curveball. It was pretty good. Big, not quite 12-6, but maybe I'd say 11-7 or
Well,
whatever.
he credits he credits Cuellar.
Yeah.
He credits Cuellar with teaching him everything he needed to know.
Hey, he was a big mentor of mine. I tell you,
Yeah,
I love
you
him.
had to change speeds. You had, you be a slow curveball to get guys to swing at it and keep them off balance. How many people really is there in the world that can throw a 97-mile-an-hour fastball over the plate all the time? Not very many.
No.
So
Hey,
the
Rick.
key to this game is throw the ball over, change speeds, stay ahead in the count. You can do whatever you want. You know
Right.
that.
Rick, I'm going to give Ross a couple questions, but we've talked about your Brooks Robinson, Frank Howard, your knee, the facility. Let's talk a little bit about this World Series going on. Ross, you got a question or two for?
Yeah, well,
for Rick?
one of the things before that, I would just want to get his. I know you watched the O's play this year. What do you think they need to do to take the next step?
Ross, if everybody stays healthy, the club they had this year could win next year. The young guys, I just think the pitching staff in particular was so inexperienced, they don't know what to do or how to approach hitters when they're behind in the count. If they don't start off with strike run, where do you go? I think it caught up with them. All it was is inexperience. Other than that, they were fabulous. They certainly had enough talent to win a World Series. And, it's just one of those kind of things that all of the major teams, not only the Orioles, didn't win in that first round. But when you lose that momentum that you had at the end of the season, and when you don't have that confidence, you're going out that it doesn't matter what happens tomorrow and blah, blah, blah. You play so loose a game, but there's not a lot of veteran guys around that have that attitude when all of a sudden you're in a playoff situation and now you have to win the series, and so it's hard to deal with, but we didn't have to deal with that because you already had guys like Brooks Robinson, Boog Powell, Frank Robinson, Paul Blair. You had guys that were very confident in what we were capable of doing. You're not always going to win every game with your offense. You're not always going to win every game with your defense or your pitching. But there's something about every game that whatever you're focused on, and the veteran guys will know how to focus against certain teams. And they think, what do we have to do? We got to make the plays on defense, stay close to who's ever pitching out there, and we'll beat them late. The Orioles always had great starting pitching and great relievers. So that's the key right there. You're hoping that everything gets funneled to that when you're playing in a World Series, that finally you get to that last series and it comes down to pitching and defense, because you're just not going to have the offense every day. That comes and goes, no matter how good you are. But the Orioles' inexperience cost them that series, and that's just basically what it was.
What do they go out? What are they looking to improve? Pitching, deep, whatever. What do you think they're going to try to? What are they going to focus on?
Everybody, the evaluation is very important on what they do with the young guys. Rodriguez, guys like him that came up, they showed they could pitch up there. I think it was Gibbons. Or Gibson, yeah.
Kyle Gibson. Yeah.
Right, Kyle Gibson. Guys like them. He was the veteran guy, probably should have been given a shot to start, but the young guys, I guess it's possible it could have happened, but improbable that all of them were going to pitch well under that kind of pressure. And so it didn't happen. So now you focus on the guys that you knew are going to be the main part of your starting staff and everything. And you constantly talk to them as you get into spring training and the start of the season. You constantly have to talk to them about their mental approach to the game and what to do when they get in trouble, how to act. That you can't teach. It has to be experienced for them to kind of understand where they could have been at the start of that 3-game series.
Kemper, the catcher, Adley Rutschman.
Yes.
How impressed with you are you, and what would you suggest he work on? I know you're not his coach, but what do you think? Do you see an aspect of his catching that needs some help?
Well, the key is what we've kind of been laughing about or joking about was the 1D situation. I think it takes too much away from the game when people start to get on base. Yeah, you can go to one knee and everything when with nobody on base, or but you've got to help the pitcher as much as you possibly can in that situation. So you can't afford to go through streaks where guys are constantly getting a stolen base, constantly getting in scoring position. You got to cut that stuff down. Everybody, my job was to cut down the running game and make sure guys didn't advance with balls in the dirt and that sort of thing. There's too much of that, not only with the Orioles, but all of baseball. All the games I watch, the catching is very sloppy, very sloppy. When they start slapping it around, you get 6 or 7 guys in there, and not all of them have the same kind of release points. It gets very, very tough to block the ball in tough situations. So with Atley, he's got great rapport with the pitching staff. I haven't seen anybody come to the big leagues with that kind of rapport and immediately have an impact on a pitching staff like Atley had. He's already an accomplished hitter. He's a good contact hitter both sides of the plate. So the only thing that really comes down to is he's got to find a way to call pitches that sometimes the computer doesn't want to call. Because I know for a fact that there were times in game situations, computers don't know what game situation is. What are you going to do? I would want to have the good guy, their best hitter. I'm not going to get behind an account and give him a shot to go for the fences. Fastball, try to beat him middle in, middle up, or middle away, whatever. No, I'm going to say to myself, okay, listen, I don't mind if you get a baseball, a base hit on the ground the opposite way. What pitch do I know you'll hit on the ground? Probably a good fastball down and away. So you're thinking, give him his base hit. But 7 out of 10 times, is still the odds are still in your favor.
Yeah.
But if he gets the base hit that you want to give him to keep him from getting a double, triple, or home run, then you're set up for a double play. And so as long as you're keeping track of the position that certain hitters are hitting in behind the guy you want to give the base hit to, then it becomes a little bit easier to call your ball game. Give up the base hit rather than the home run, but then look for the double play to make up for it.
Demper,
That's
are
the
you
one thing
okay?
they don't do now. They don't play for the double play. You watch those from the outfield or to the plate. The runner that gets the hit goes right to second base. The best defense now is the swing and miss. Unfortunately, that's the best defense.
Well,
Demper,
if you're watching the games after the Orioles were eliminated, I'm watching this World Series, and the shortstop for the Texas Rangers comes up, and I see the catcher go to one knee. Why go to one knee if you're going to give a high target in the strike zone, and puts it right up there, middle of the chest, right there. And if you saw the replay, the fastball is going right for the pocket of the glove, and it ends up about 15 rows deep in the right center field and he ties the ball game up, and so I mean, I'll take my chances on the ground with the ground ball when you've got a good defensive ball club. They've got to play their defense too, and you got a better chance. And I don't care what any computer tells you.
Rick, are you okay to hang with us for a couple more minutes?
Absolutely.
All right, let me get a word in about the Costas Inn. We're talking to Rick Dempsey, and he was reliable, and he was always there, and you knew you could count on him. Well, that's the Costas Inn. They got the same thing there. They've been there for 52 years, the Costas Inn, and they're always there. They got great service, great quality of food, and of course, as Ross Grimsley knows, they've got great steamed crabs because he just had about 18 of them
Barrel full of them.
about 2 weeks ago. The Costas Inn, they're there for you. They've been there. They're going to be there. 4100 North Point Boulevard. Go online, thecostasinn.com, or actually not the costasinn.com. You can order your food. You can pay for it online. and you can pick it up without even getting out of your car if that's what you want to do. And you always have to reserve crabs. 410-477-1975. Old reliable, the Costas Inn. Rick, I'll let Ross ask you one or two more questions, and we'll let you get out of here.
Sure.
Yeah, Dipper, obviously you've watched some of the World Series and the playoffs. What are your thoughts on the Diamondbacks? I'm really surprised they're in there, but seeing them play, they really play a different kind of ball, it seems like. But what are your thoughts on the World Series right now? Who do you think is going to come out on top?
Well, I'll tell you, I think if you look at the Texas Ball Club, they've got a manager over there that's been down that road quite a few times. You worked for him, and he just, I'm sure he has that ball club prepared mentally. So you're going to have to play a very good brand of baseball to beat this guy, because that team is very well prepared. But don't take the Arizona Diamondbacks lightly, because they've got enough talent. And what I liked about them, Ross, was they're not trying to pull everything. They're not trying to hit everything 50 rows deep. They're spraying the ball around. They've got enough power. Right-handers can hit it out right field, especially in that ballpark in Texas. The ball travels pretty good. But I don't know that much about the Arizona ballpark. But I just say maybe the Texas Rangers have a little bit of an edge. But if the Arizona Diamondbacks can play good, smart baseball, and the starters can stay away from letting the ball go into the seats, they've got a chance.
What about this injury? What about
team.
this injury to Garcia if he's out?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's going to put a big hole in the boat, because that guy has a lot of energy and a lot of power. He's got a very good swing, and he drives the ball. When he gets a hold of it, it's there's no ballpark that can hold him. But if he's out all the way now, then that really gives an edge to the Rangers.
We'll find out in just a couple hours tonight. Andrew Heaney pitching for Texas, and Joe Mantiply. This is amazing. You get to the World Series and you got bullpen games. It's just staggering to me how light the starting pitching is now in baseball. Hey, Rick, we really appreciate your being on with us. Again, the location of the baseball warehouse, Rick Dempsey's baseball warehouse, 9515 Gerwig Lane in Columbia, Maryland. Look it up online. The baseball warehouse run by Rick Dempsey. Demper, always great to talk to you.
Thank you, Stan.
We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Okay,
Thanks, buddy.
Ross.
Appreciate it, buddy.
And I
Stay
can't
well.
wait till you get out for the first time to play golf again.
Maybe tomorrow.
Okay. We'll see you
Or
soon.
tonight.
Or tonight. All right.
All right.
Take
you
care,
guys.
buddy.
Hey,
Thanks a lot. Okay.
Okay. Ross, I want to thank
Bye-bye.
you as always. I want to thank our friends at Superbook Sports, our friends at AJ Michaels Heating and Air Conditioning, and of course, the Costas Inn. We'll be back later in the week, and then Ross and I and Luke will join us next Monday. Talk soon, Rick. Bye.
Okay. Take care, guys.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
again, buddy.